Welcome to QA Scripts. In this video, we will learn what is this keyword in Java. What is this keyword? This is a keyword in Java which can be used inside a method or constructor of a class. We have 6 different uses in Java. Let us try to understand one by one. First usage is this keyword can be used to refer current class instance variable. We will see with a detailed example in later slides. First, let us try to understand what are the different uses of this keyword first. Second usage is this method can be used to invoke current class constructor. Third usage is this keyword can be used to invoke current class method. This can be passed as an argument in a method call. This can be passed as argument in the constructor call. And the last one is this keyword can also be used to return the current class instance. Let us see these uses one by one. First one is this keyword can be used to refer current class instance variable. I think we know what is instance variable. If you don't know instance variable, please refer my previous videos where I have explained in detail about what is local variable, instance variable and global variable. If there is ambiguity between instance variable and parameter, this keyword resolves the problem of this ambiguity. First, let us try to understand one simple program where we will not use this keyword. Here is the simple program where I have defined two different variables. One is int employee ID, another variable is string employee name. I have one constructor here. What is constructor? Constructor is nothing but a method having same name as class. So the class name is without this and constructor name also is without this, and this is parameterized constructor because I am passing parameters, that is int employee ID and string employee name. Here I am assigning the value of employee ID to the instance variable, that is again the same name as employee ID. It's the same as employee name and employee name. So when I create one more method, that is display, and when I try to display the value of employee ID and employee name using system.out.println, and if we pass the employee ID as well as employee name as a parameter when we start creating object, this will not be able to produce the result, or it will not able to print the employee ID and employee name when we execute this piece of code. Here is the same example in Eclipse where I have created two variables, that is employee ID and employee name, and in this parameterized constructor I am passing parameters and assigning to the local instance variable. Now let me create object. One is S1, that is object name, where I am passing value as 23432 and QA script. So this is for one object, and what actually it happens is it will take this value and it will pass as a parameter to the constructor. This value, that is 234323, will come to employee ID here at line number 6, and this will be assigned to the employee ID instance variable. In the same way, QA script string, it will come to the parameter, that is employee name, and it will assign to the instance variable, that is employee name. The same case with object 2. Here I am calling display method using object s1 and s2. What is there inside the display method? In this method we are having one statement, that is system.out.println, and I am trying to print employee ID and employee name. If I execute this piece of code, what actually happens is it will not print any value, even though I am passing the values of parameters, but it will not going to display any value in the console. Let me execute this code. Here it says that employee ID is 0 and employee name is null. Means we don't have any values, even though we are assigning the values, but the values are coming from default constructor of default value. Why this is, and how can we solve? So if you look at the code closely, the data, it will directly come from object and it will assign to parameter. This parameter will assign to the instance variable, that is employee ID, and this will act as a local variable, hence the value will going to die at this constructor only. It will not going to come out of this particular method. If you use this keyword, the keyword makes or keyword helps to available that particular value to instance variable which is present outside the constructor, then that will be available across this class, and we have used the same employee ID variable in method called display, so the value is going to be displayed in the console when we execute this particular piece of code. Now let me use this keyword. I have used this keyword and I am trying to execute the same piece of code. When I execute this class, now I am getting value as employee ID 234323 and QA script. This is for first object, and employee ID 343211 and Selenium. This is for the second object and the value of. So this is how keyword, that is this keyword will help you to use refer current class instance variable. How exactly it works? Let me show you with a diagram. If you are able to see this diagram, what actually we have here is a port having two holes. This holes, think that this keyword, if this port has 2 or 3 holes, then whatever the soldiers coming from outside this port, they can enter into this port using this hole. Once they enter into the port, they will have access to enter this area, right? Like that, whatever the data coming to this class using this port, that once data comes in this area, any method present, for example display is the one method inside this area, so that method will be able to use the data coming using that key that particular hole. So it works as a hole in a Fore. Once the data comes into this Fore, that uh, data can be used for any other methods which are present inside that particular class. Like this, you can use this keyword in Java. Second usage of this keyword is this can be used to invoke current class constructor. What does this mean? Let us come back to Eclipse, where I have one simple class called example, this 2. Here I have two variables. One is int employee id, another one is string employee name. I have one default constructor, that is example2. Inside that default constructor, what I have is a simple statement to print a message, that is default constructor is in use. So as we know, once we create an object, immediately the constructor will get called and the code which is there inside the constructor will get executed. Let me create one object inside main method. I will say example this 2, and I will say employee object name as e1 equals to new. Yes, I have created one object, or I have initiated one object inside the main. Let me execute this piece of code. So when I execute, I will get the message which is present inside the default constructor. Now what I will do, I will have one more constructor, that is parameterized constructor. I have created parameterized constructor where I am passing two parameters, that is int employee id and string employee name, and those employee id and employee name I am assigning to instance variables using this keyword. We have observed what is this keyword inside the constructor. It will make the data available for entire class. Now let me execute this piece of code. When I execute, again as usual I am getting default constructor is invoked because the object I have created and there is no parameter value I am passing into this object. That's why it will refer to default constructor and it will get executed. If you pass any value to this particular object, then it will refer to parameterized constructor, then it will not call the default constructor. When you pass any value as a parameter value, then the parameterized constructor will get more preference than default constructor. Let us see by passing the values into this object. I have passed the value as int 234323 and give a fifth as a string parameter. Let me execute now. When I execute this class, I am not getting any value here, even though there is a message inside the default constructor. It means if you pass any value as a parameter, then the parameterized constructor will get executed. Since the parameterized constructor doesn't have any system.out.println, so I am not getting any values or any messages out in the console. Let me write one simple method called display. Inside the display, I will have a system.out.println of employee id and employee name. Here I have created a method called display and I am trying to display employee id and employee name. So here I have created object. If I want to display any message, I have to call this display method explicitly. So let me use object name, that is e1 dot display method. So I am calling that particular method. Now let me execute a piece of code and see what is the message or values we are going to get. Yes, when I execute, I am getting value as 23, 43, 23, giveaway 6. These are the values I have passed as parameters. Let me change it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and execute it again. And same value what I have passed here as parameter, I am getting out here. But where is the default constructor message getting displayed? Here I am not getting default constructor message displayed out here. If I want to include, or if I want to make default constructor to be executed also, then I have to use this keyword in the parameterized constructor. Let me use this. So I have used this keyword along with parentheses. Now let me save it and execute. When I use this keyword inside the parameterized constructor, it will call the default constructor as well, and it will display the message present inside the default constructor. That is, default constructor is in mode. Then it will try to execute the method and display the employee ID and employee name. That's why here it says that this can be used to invoke current class constructor. Current class constructor is nothing but this default constructor. If you want to invoke this current class constructor, then we have to use this keyword inside the parameterized constructor. Remember, this must be used first statement inside the constructor. Here we have used at the first statement inside the parameterized constructor. Let me use at the end of statement inside the constructor. Now let me execute here. No, it will not get executed because here I have one system syntax error. That is, it says that this method or this keyword must be at the first line inside the parameterized constructor. Then only it will accept, otherwise it will not going to accept. So I am executing again. Yes, it is getting called. The current class constructor is getting called by using this keyword. Third usage of this keyword is this can be used to invoke current class method implicitly. Here is a simple program. Let us look at Eclipse where I have the same class, that is example this 3. Here I have method 1. Inside the method 1 I am having simple message saying method is invoked. I have another method called method 2, and I am calling this method 1 using this keyword. That is, implicitly I am calling method 1 in the method 2. Again I am creating method 3. Inside the method 3 I am calling method 2. Finally I am calling this method 3 in the main method by creating object. Here is the object, that is s1 and s1 dot method 3. When I call when I execute this program, method 3 will get executed, and inside that method 3 I have method 2, so it will get execute first. Since method 2 as method 1, so the method 1 will get called and the message will going to get displayed here. So the message is getting displayed here. So this keyword can be used to invoke current class method implicitly. Fourth usage of this is this keyword can be used as an argument in a method. Here is the simple program called example this 4, where I am having one method naming method, and I have a parameter for that particular method. What parameter I have? I am directly trying to define the object as a parameter, that is example 4 obj. Obj is the object name. I am just trying to initialize declare the object, and I am passing that as a parameter for a method, and inside that method I have a system.out.println, and I am saying that method is invoked plus object dot get class. This is the method. If I use, then I will get the method class name displayed in the console. I have another method called method 2, and I am calling method inside the method 2, but I am using this keyword as a parameter value, passing value. When I say this parameter value, so it will call the particular class and it will display the class name in the console. That's why here it says that this keyword can be passed as an argument in method. Here is the method. I am passing this as an argument. Let us try to see the same example in Eclipse. So here I have this keyword getting passed as parameter for the method, where we have a class object defined as a parameter for the method. So when I execute this piece of code, what happens? It displays a message saying that method is invoked class example this 4. So this particular class will get displayed here because of this keyword getting passed as parameter. This keyword can be used to return current class instance. This is fifth usage of this keyword. What is that? This keyword can be used to return current class instance. Let us look at a simple example, that is example this 5, that is a class name. Inside the class I have one variable, that is int data, and value for this variable is 10. I have already assigned. Then I am having one constructor, that is default constructor. Inside the default constructor I am trying to initialize an object of another class. So here there is another class name, if you closely observe, that is example this 5 underscore 1. The class what I have written is example this 5, but here the class name is example this 5 underscore 1. B is nothing but object name equals to new example this 5 underscore 1, and in the bracket I am passing this as a keyword. So I have to create one more class naming example this 5 underscore 1. Inside that I should have one parameterized constructor where I have to pass the object name as a object initialization as a parameter, and also I should have one method called display. Let me have that piece of code also here. So here is the example. Example this 5 underscore 1, that is class name, and here I am having one object definition. Then I will create one constructor, that is default constructor. Sorry, this is not default constructor, this is parameterized constructor. Here I am passing example this 5 obj, that is object definition or object declaration, I am passing as a parameter. Then I am saying this dot obj equals to obj, and inside the method display I am trying to display the object, that is class data. So let me do this in Eclipse, how exactly it's going to work it out. So here I have example this 5, where I am trying to create one object inside the default constructor of example this. Then I am trying to call display method present in the class called example this 5 underscore 1, where I am having one parameterized constructor, and I am passing the parameters as no declaration of object of a class called example this 5. So when I create one simple object inside the main using class called example this, and when I execute this particular code, what happens, since we have a default constructor for this class, so as soon as we create object, the constructor will get executed, but inside the constructor we have object of another class, so that piece of code will get also execute, and it will display the result. Right here when I execute, I am getting data as 10, even though the data variable as 10 value inside the example this class, but whereas example this 5 underscore 1 has a method called display, where I am trying to display the object data as parameter. So here I am passing those data using this keyword. That's why here it says that this keyword can be used to return current class instance. This is current class instance. Based upon the current class instance, I can get the data in another class, but you have to use this keyword as a parameter to that particular class. Last usage of this keyword is this can be passed as an argument in method call. Here I have one class called example this 6. Inside that I am having one constructor, that is example this, and I am trying to have construct. It's not actually constructor, instead it is a simple method. Let us see the same code in Eclipse, and it will be easy to understand. So here what I am trying to do, I am trying to write one method, but the data type of that particular method, that is get example this 6 data type. Here I am using example this 6 because inside this method I am having a return keyword, and what I am trying to return is this keyword I have used. So when I use this keyword as return in a method, that will return the class object as a return, and hence I am having data type as class name. Here I have one method called message. Inside that I am having a simple message saying hello Java. I am creating one more class called example this 6 underscore 1, where I'm trying to call the previous method, that is example this 6 dot get example this dot message. So I'm trying to call all the messages, sorry, methods which are present inside the example call this example this 6 class. So when I execute this piece of code, what happens, I will get a message called hello Java, because the hello Java is present inside the message called inside the method called message. Like this we can use this keyword as a argument in a method call. So these are the 6 different uses of this keyword in Java. For any questions or doubts or feedback, please contact us at info@tvscripts.com or tvscripts25@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.